So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Thank you so very much for joining us online. This is the 4th annual roundtable of the House of the Dutch Provinces and the Expertise Center, ITEM. And today we will discuss the future perspective for border regions in light of that new political reality. After not only the European elections, but the federal and regional elections in Belgium as well. We do have the Dutch coalition agreements. We do have them as well in the Belgian regions of Wallonia and the German-speaking community. And on top of that, we have the re-elected president of the European Commission. She presented her priorities. We have very recent, of course, the competitiveness report from Mario Draghi. We have Germany, who is tightening all border controls. Are there member states who will follow this example? We do not know, and that's why it's very interesting and very urgent and relevant to address today's topic, and that is, what is the future perspective for border regions? Because in all those recent developments, what has been said, what maybe has been written down about borders, about border regions, and are cross-border regions, are they considered specifically? Well, that is something we are going to address at this roundtable. And look around me here, I have a number of distinguished guests. Be welcome all today. And they all have a very strong view and opinion on the role of cross-border regions. So we are delighted to find out what their view and opinion is. I'm going to present them all to you, and then hopefully we will have a very vivid discussion. At my left hand here, I have Arthur van Dijk. Great to have you. Arthur, welcome, President of the House of the Dutch Provinces and, of course, King's Commissioner of the beautiful province of North Holland. Then I have Professor Dr. Anouk Bolle, Director of the Expertise Center, ITEM. And, well, you have great researchers, and you brought some at the table here today we will find out more about. Then we have, and maybe we will just pass first to my left-hand side, Karl-Heinz Lamberts. Be welcome. Great to have you, that you found time to be here with us here in Brussels. Former president of the Parliament of the German-speaking community in Belgium. A very strong view you have on border regions, don't you? The strongest in the world. That's exactly why we invited you. Then we have Erwin Hooglands. Be welcome. Great to have you as our guest, Regional Minister of the province of Overijssel. Great. And you will bring some good examples on the table you have from your own province. Then we have Pim Mertens. Welcome, senior researcher at ITEM. You know a lot about the instruments we do have and we do possess, and also the analysis you did from the elections I just mentioned. So it's great to learn more from you. Then we have Yves Lacroix. Be welcome. It's, well, you are at your home city here as a journalist or editor at Brussels Nieuwe, and you will reflect on everything which has been said here during this roundtable. So we're looking forward to your contribution later on this afternoon. And then at this side at my right-hand side for the table, and I think the cameras will be able to follow, thank you so much for being with us, Carina van Kouter, Governor for East Flanders. Great, because talking about people bringing good examples and best practices on the table, then we are delighted to have you here, because you live in the border region, yes, and you are very much dedicated and committed to make things more fluent and happening at the border region. So you will tell us all about your coordination point, the schakelpunt we have in that beautiful part of Europe as well. And then Frans Wekers. Great to see you, Secretary General from Benelux Union. Of course, also very strong views on border regions and the future perspective. Okay, there's a phone. Just switch it off. That is no worries. Then we have Martin Unfried, Senior Researcher, one of Pim's colleagues from ITEM, the Expertise Center, and you will tell us all about what you feel like sustainable solutions when it comes to having the instruments to really have the cross-border assessments and to find out what is happening. Then we have Dirk Grotink. Wonderful to have you here as member of the European Parliament for NSC, Dutch member of the European Parliament. Great to have you. Is this specifically on your topic list, the border regions, or not that much?
Well, I'm not in the Regi committee.
Yeah. Yeah, you just get, yeah. Yeah, it does.
Okay, well, I'm not in Regi committee, I have strong opinions about border regions as well.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll get to that.
We will certainly get to that. And Raquel Garcia Hermida van der Wallen, wonderful to have you here. And you are so wonderfully in time. Also here from D66, the Dutch political party. And also you have strong opinions and views on border regions and their specific needs, so to say. Okay, let's get started. Arthur van Dijk, President of the House of the Dutch Provinces, give us some reflection on what is happening at the moment, the new political reality, EU elections, Dutch coalition agreement. Just give us some reflections to start with.
Wow, I thought when you made your introduction, you made some reflections yourself already. A lot of things are happening. Of course, we had the elections in Europe, but also in the Netherlands, for example. Yeah. And what you see is, of course, that the parties on the more right flank increased their majority a little bit, and also and what I also see is in Europe, for example, of course, the middle parties still are in charge, you could say, but something has changed. A new fraction came up in Europe, and there I see some similarities with what's happening in the Netherlands, for example. The last decade we saw coming up more and more political parties with small issues, so it's getting harder and harder to get to a coalition. And when you look at the coalition agreement, of course, next week will be an important week when our government will come out with more figures and more details about how they are going to make the next steps. So I'm very excited to see how they are going to fill in what they promised in the coalition agreement. But looking at Europe, I think the coalition agreement was a little bit, how do you say, I cannot find the English word, but a little bit mager, a little bit
poor.
Poor, yeah, that's the right word. I think in the agreement they say still Europe is important. Everybody knows that, but we are more asking than giving. So we need Europe for derogation, for migration, for a lot of topics, and that will be very hard to make it happen. On the other hand, you also mentioned the report of Mr. Draghi. Yeah. Where we have the innovation gap, where we have the greening of our economy, but also the strategical autonomous position of Europe compared to China and the USA. Big topics. So, and when you look at Germany at the moment, where they are now reintroducing passport controls at the border, I think that's 2 steps back instead of 2 steps ahead. So, more than ever, more than last year, there's work to do, not only for the House of Dutch Provinces, but also for ITEM. And I think it's not only the inside borders, but also the borders between countries. Because when you look at Europe, every member state is equal, but there are big differences between the member states. And I think that we should see that picture that a lot of member states, that we cannot keep up having the same speed all together. So we really, for example, Frans Wekers is sitting here as the Benelux. Benelux is working together in another speed than other member states. They're allowed to. And perhaps on some topics, when you look at especially the Draghi report, but probably some people will tell more about that, about the instruments we have, we should need also a change of governance, sorry.
Governance, yeah, okay, well. Okay, thank you for this introduction. Anouk, maybe a short reflection first on the elections, the analysis you all did with your beautiful researchers. But as well, I would like to ask you, what would you like to have on the table here today?
Okay, thank you. Well, the aim of today is threefold. First of all, I think it's important to get clear what's on stake for the border regions. If we look to the new political area as we have and the political reality. So what's on stake for border regions and thus also for member states? That's first. The second, how can we influence the new European agenda in favor of these border regions? And the third, to get insight which instruments that are relevant and who is responsible and on which level, governance level, who has to take action on that. That's my expectation of today. So
And do you have answers to all of these three important questions, Anouk?
I have not answers to all these questions. With regard to instruments, I think we have from our team some answers which can help. And but for the other things, we are very much open to listen to the input of all members here.
Yeah, just maybe also some words before I start talking with all the people here at the table. Your analysis or your first idea on that new political reality based on the elections we have had in several parts like mentioned.
Well, what we do see as one thing that that the border has become an instrument, and I think that's something which we have to take into account. It's an instrument, as we see in Germany, is just mentioned, but we also see thoughts about it because we have to close the borders, we have to close the European borders, the inner borders, the outer borders. So on several levels, we see that we use the border as a new instrument as such, and as a steering instrument. And I think we have to be careful about that, because it influences, of course, the border regions as such, because it's strengthening to make European unions more stronger. It means that you have to focus on border regions as such. But if you only look at well, a border as such, then you neglect the border regions. So that's something we have to look into. And besides that, because next to the steering instruments, we also see that well, there are some aims on European level. If you look at von der Leyen, she tries to make the internal market better. She also addresses to make the outer borders stronger and to softening the inner borders. But if we look at the agreements that we have checked, then we see a lot of differences between, well, Wallonia, for instance, and the Dutch-speaking community, but also if you look at the agreement of the Netherlands at this point, it's very much different. So how are we going to deal with that?
Okay, good.
One thing more. Of course, when you look at the reason why Germany now is getting passport controls back into force, of course, I also want to fight terrorism or illegal immigration. But a few years ago, we were talking about invisible borders. That's what the investigation was about working force and flows and things like that. But now we are going back to real physical borders. And I think that we also have to look at the impact of it. So the impact analysis, what will happen when you reintroduce border controls, will be dramatically, instead of helping Europe, it will really break off all the things we did in the past. So we really have to work on a high level, and I think that should be also one of the investigations ITEM should look upon in the next future.
Thank you. Karl-Heinz Lamberts, please take a microphone. Yes, great. Because I talking about the German-speaking community in Belgium, you are in the heart of you are representing here a cross-border region. Now, how can we link, like Anouk was saying, that open invitation from Ursula von der Leyen that she says, we want to strengthen the connection between the Commission and the regions. Now, what do you see of that in practice, and how can that work?
This connection is very important, but it is not enough to say regions are important. Yeah. During my time as president of the Committee of the Regions, I often discussed with Mrs. von der Leyen, and everyone agreed that regions are important. But in the reality of the European policy, we have another situation. Regions are not powerful enough on this moment in the European construction. we must give more impact to regions because it is fundamental. That's a reality on the ground where people are living. People don't live in Brussels, Luxembourg or Strasbourg. They are living in the villages, in the cities, in the regions. This reality must be taken into account by the European policy, and European policy must be elaborated on a way that it takes into account the diversity of this great situation. And one aspect of this diversity is border situation. And in Europe, we are living in one of the smallest continents of the world. Australia is a little bit smaller, but we have the biggest density of borders.
Yes.
And so the border situation that is always a little bit far from the center is in reality very, very important, and we must make this situation a central issue. And borders are omnipresent in all sciences, in all situations. And I don't know if someone had the opportunity this night to assist on the spectacle between Trump and
Kamala?
Harris. So I'm a little bit tired. I did it, but I was in the train, so it was not so complicated. Region impact for borders.
Yeah.
And even this day, the 9th September, when we commemorate the incident in New York, it was a border problem. There was a special way to go through borders on this moment, and this had so many consequences that we arrive in the final circuit with migration issue, and that is a central issue in the mind of Europeans. Even it is not a central issue in the reality, but in the mind of the people, it is so important. You have just to have a look on the regional elections in Germany, in Thüringen and Sachsen the last week. It is horrible what we have there, and so we must really have a new approach to borders. And
What is that new approach?
in '93, just 3 years after my first designation as minister, we had the opening of the borders. And then everyone in the European administration said, no, we don't have any more problems, all borders are open, all things are perfect. But it was not correct, because if borders are open, then the differences can really appear, and each case of a trans-border activity brings new problems. And then we had big activities in Europe, cohesion policy, Interreg, all these things, but each time if you have a problem somewhere, the first reaction that the states are bringing on the table is a reflex of closing borders. And that is something we must change. We must solve the problems, but we must understand that we can't solve them definitively and correctly only by closing the borders. We must have an intelligent, a very slim way to manage borders.
Yes, but in this actual political reality, which we are facing here today, do you feel positive that we are finding our way out here, or are you worried?
During
What's
all
the
my life,
temperature?
I had positive feelings. I started in
Sure, but now
68, and
Yeah.
I was still on this time convinced that trans-border cooperation is important. But your question is very, very important. I am sure that we must find a solution.
yeah.
Also, we will have
What is
big
at stake here with the question of Anouk? She said, what is at stake if we do not find the solution
If we
here?
don't find solutions, and if we don't find a common approach to all these problems, especially migration, but not only migration, there are also issues.
We will come to some like
in the
energy,
Draghi report is
mobility.
big enough, and also in the Letta report and all other reports are very, very great challenges. But the new approach must be an intelligent way to cooperate through the borders, to make things together, and not only to create a frontier.
Yeah. Let's dive into the beautiful province of Overijssel, where you are facing a border. Erwin,
thank you.
yeah.
Well,
please reflect on what is said here and all your day-to-day practice you do find.
well, really thank you for the invitation to be here. But first of all, I think
You take
the
the
border.
microphone. Yeah.
First of all, I think the border issue is also a perception issue. I think at several levels you approach the border at a different angle. From a local or a regional level, you look different to a border than from a national level, and from a European level. So I think you should take that in mind. So if I look to the discussion we have right now, and there's a lot of fuss about the border issue which Germany is introducing, actually, in the practice, we do it already for decades in the Netherlands. Mobile teams who are moving around the border, picking out people, checking
asking for their passport,
their IDs, etc. So there's nothing new. If you look to the German way of how they deal with it, they said we want to make some places on the border where we will check people. But I'm coming from a really border region. I was born on one side of the border. I live on the other side of the border, so that you can call me a border person. The people in the region.
Not to be compared with a borderliner. No. Everybody was thinking this, so I better say it out loud. Yeah.
After this, I will go into mental. So at the local level, we don't feel that there is a border. And what you see also at the regional level, what we try to do is just do something and don't talk about it. So we are looking really to find projects where we can do on both sides of the border. And of course we've got European rules, and of course we've got national rules and law and etc. But in practice, we act together. So for instance, when you talk about an environment, we are now kicking off a new project where we have a marsh on the left side and the right side of the border, where we try to make more to increase the diversity in the nature. We have cross-border activities when we talk about mobility. We have cross-border activities when you talk about ambulances. Cross-border activities when you talk about how to deal with...
So a lot is happening.
There's a lot of things are happening. So at a local and a regional level, it's not that a big issue.
Yeah.
Of course, we are
sometimes hindered by national rules
passport
and
controller when you go in there. But basically, people in the border and in the border region are crossing the border several times a day. So they are used to it. Yeah. But on a national level and on the European level, it's really a big issue. And the problem of, let's say, the worry I have about it is that it's made a political discussion which feeds emotions against certain groups moving through Europe. And let's face reality. We need all those people because we have a lack of people for our companies. On the other hand, you see that nationalism is coming a little bit back, and you see also that some of the people are even thinking that they can change European policy by just going to Europe, say, okay, we want something different. And I think the reality is not like that.
About whom are you talking now?
I talk about especially the right-wing populist parties who say, okay, when we do it like a national level, we go to the European Union and say, we'll change this rule because it's in our benefit. I don't think that the reality is like that. Yeah. So I'm still quite optimistic. And I think that we have to make some step forwards at the local and regional level. We can do that. And I hope really that at the European and national level, they will face that reality and also thrive on with the road we are already moving on to make the cooperation better between the regions.
Yeah, great. And you have some great examples from your own province of Overijssel where you are working together cross-border with great success.
Oh, absolutely. And I see I saw the enthusiasm cross-border to work together. So I see positive vibrations in the border regions. Yeah. And I don't let it interfere
we should shine the light more on that maybe than on the negative side. Yeah. Frans Wekers, if I can ask you for your first contribution to this roundtable as Secretary General from the Benelux Union. Arthur van Dijk stated you have a kind of special position, one could say so, in the Benelux, of course, with your rich history. But how would you reflect on the new political reality and when it comes to the future perspective on cross-border regions? You may take a microphone, please.
Well,
It's on, yeah.
well, first of all, I have to underline, of course, that I have a neutral position. So
Yeah.
regardless the political parties who form a coalition, as Benelux Union, as Secretary General, we work together with all governments, with all democratic chosen governments. So
Of course, yeah.
That's one. Second, when it comes to the concerns of the people in border regions, I do believe that almost every politician has its sincere concerns to address those issues. When it comes to border control, well, the Benelux Union was the first who created the free space of movement of people. So Schengen, the free movement of people without border controls, was invented in the Benelux and then extended to Germany, France, and now it's, let's say, one of our pillars on the European cooperation. And me myself, I feel I feel strong European. I like to to cross borders without border controls. But in our working groups within the Benelux, we also see that there are a lot of issues that people who don't have the right to cross the border, illegal immigrants, or criminality or criminals, well, they make use of that free space which was created for all, let's say, for all the good people. So
But we have those mobile brigades.
Yes. So I would say I would argue that well, it doesn't make sense to me to reintroduce border controls. Well, we remember we are from Limburg, Anouk and I. That Belgium introduced border controls when the COVID was there, and I couldn't cross the border from Netherlands, Limburg, to go to my job in Brussels. And many people have that very recent feeling what it means when there is a border control. So I think we should urge the governments in Germany, but also in the Netherlands and other countries, not to reintroduce the old border controls, but as you said, from your Overijssel perspective, well, make use of flying squads, do it smart, and target just, let's say, some areas which are very sensitive to criminality, to terrorism threats or other threats or illegal movements. So, because reintroducing border controls, that does hamper our logistics, that does hamper our economy, and that makes also people and business be worse off in future. And I can't imagine that the politicians in our capitals would like to achieve those, let's say, bad results.
Yeah. Yeah, Erwin, please.
Yeah, I would like to have a small reaction on it. And I'm very happy that Frans said it's the aim where you use those flying or those border controls for. Because it was completely different in the COVID time as what the issue is right now. Because in the COVID time we tried to contain a illness, a virus,
Exactly.
where all kinds of national different measures were taken. But now, and as I understood it, is to go against illegal immigrants and against criminality. I think that's a different piece of cake. And I think that's, and how you deal it, and I absolutely agree with Frans to say, do it on the smart way and not on the old-fashioned way. I agree with that.
But
yeah, okay.
Even in COVID time, well, you could invent smarter IDs
Oh,
and
yeah.
because people in a border area, they couldn't visit their relatives. And it didn't make sense to me that there was a curfew in the Netherlands, but not in Belgium. So that doesn't make sense to me. So I plea for...
It can be smarter.
It can be smarter.
Okay.
And if we can
We leave it to here.
common solutions, well, common
Frans,
solutions
we
are
leave it
always
to
best.
here. Yeah. Raquel. No, yeah, sure. But I have a lot to discuss, so I want to keep on. And Raquel, if I may go ask you, as a member of the European Parliament, what do you think, what do you feel when you hear all this? And also when it comes to the future perspective in this new reality when it comes to cross-border region? Just give a first reflection, maybe.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Thanks, Simon, for your introduction. My first reaction is, I do not think that we realize enough in general that border regions are the core of European integration. And I'm very happy to hear that the Benelux led the way, and following that example, we reached a very, very high degree of European integration. For me, that's the heart of what we have achieved as European Union. We are not fighting anymore in Alsace between Frenchmen and Germans. We're sitting together in the European Parliament.
Yep.
Those border regions, all those conflicts which have been fought there and are not being fought anymore, that's something that we have to protect. That should have the highest level of priority. And I obviously have a lot of concerns about the situation right now. And it is very right what Germany is attempting to do, with all sympathy for the reflex to try to protect your own people from a terrorist menace. We have seen that in recent years in many other countries. We have seen that in France. We have seen that in Sweden, Denmark, during COVID, all over Europe. It hurts the founding base of what it means to be the European Union. And I think it's very dangerous. And I think that we should be...
What is at stake here, would you say?
Yeah, the core.
The core.
The core of what it is to have an integrated union, an integrated market, freedom of movement, freedom to come and go, freedom for our businesses.
Yeah,
it's the core.
Dirk Gotink, so your colleague is stating here there is a lot at stake, and it is the cross-border region, which is the core. There, Europe is made. What would you agree on that?
Well, if we're speaking about the four freedoms, then clearly it is. And Schengen, in a way, is one of the pillars. But I think we also have to recognize that we have moved into a new era.
Yep.
The European Union is not post-war European Union anymore. I think Draghi explains that very well. We are really in a different world. First of all, politically, Thüringen and Sachsen, this is a warning signal. And that is for every politician relevant, whether you are pro or anti-European or whatever, but voters have expressed a serious discontent, also in the European elections, by the way, which has not reflected very much on the composition of the majority in the European Parliament, but the move has been very strong. And the trend of that move did not start this year, it started 10 years ago. The Netherlands is the same thing. And if we follow that trend, then we have to, if we don't recognize that we are really in a different situation, I think we'll make the wrong analysis. Also for border regions. So voters want more control. They see that politicians are not delivering on certain ideas that have to do with migration, but also with the future perspectives. Being able to buy a house, energy prices, things that have to do with security of an idea of the future you have for yourself and your family. So I wouldn't say, I think we have to also be a bit bolder in imagining a future where you can make steps in Europe and also at the same time deliver a certain level of control that people are asking for. And border controls, in that sense, I think is the crazy time we're living in. If you have this long list of things that people would say this will never happen, you would start with Brexit, then you get Trump.
Yeah. Then stop with this list.
But then you
yeah.
get the invasion of Ukraine,
Yeah.
and now you have border controls in Germany.
And all that
But every
short
time someone says this can never happen, 2 years later it can happen. So we have to imagine also that Schengen cannot be forever. It's really
Is Schengen at stake?
Well, if we only have a migration pact that is only going to start 2 years from now, imagine all the elections that we have from now, from today until 2 years from now, and if every election is about migration, then that is seriously not good enough. So Europe will have to deliver on something that goes beyond what we have to also have an impact and convince voters that actually we can be in control.
Raquel, yeah, please, a short response
reaction,
on this
because
one. Yes,
I do agree with my colleague about the feeling and the desire of people for more border control. The question is, of course, if internal border control is the right answer. I think that external border control is a better answer. And I was really surprised when I looked at the proposal for the budget of the European Union for next year, and I saw that the member states wanted to cut more than approximately 90 million euros in Frontex, the agency which protects our external border. And we are trying to save that in Parliament to ensure that Frontex has the means, legal but also economic, to do their job. So I would say to member states, look at where things are effective, smart, and that is not at the internal borders. That is at the external borders with the proper application of the Migration Pact, which I agree, if we have to wait 2 years, it might be a bit too late for some points, but we have to start somewhere.
Thank you so much. Now, this is so the right time to have this round table, Anouk, and Arthur as president here, isn't it? Because the actualities, they are so urgent. Yeah,
absolutely. And I was also thinking, when you have the internal borders, perhaps you create a new kind of criminality, because the prices for illegal crossing will rise. So I think the criminals are more smarter than we are, and I think we should use the intelligence that we have to exchange information. And still also in Europe, that's not common. So there are still a lot of borders to cross before you really can exchange information together. And I agree, when you really want to make Europe strong, I think the external borders are more important, but also agreeing in being Europe, because when we want to be a competitive nation, a continent, then we really need a strong Europe. Otherwise, the US and China, we are still small compared to them. And that's at stake. And I agree also that doing nothing will only strengthen the nationalism that is now going on. And I also agree that it's for more than 10 years going on, and it's a trend. And last week I had a wonderful experience, because our eye, we don't see everything. So what we do is we see some pictures and we frame it with the knowledge of yesterday. So sometimes we don't see things that there are, because we are so focused on yesterday that we don't see the things that are happening now. So we, as Europe and as politicians, we really should help people to see the things as they are. And that's
then we must see them first ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Martin, you wanted to reflect. You gave me a sign. Did I see it correctly? Yeah.
Yes, perhaps from our research from the last 10 years, we can really see that also the narrative has changed. The narrative about the border regions. In the first place, we always make a distinction between the border region and the cross-border region.
Sure.
And for the last 50 years, we tried to establish the idea that there is such a thing as a cross-border region, a Euro region, or Euro district. And that's a different thing than a border region, because then we saw with the Corona crisis that suddenly, apparently, the cross-border region was nothing, because the idea was that closing a national border is the right instrument to fight the pandemic situation. And we did research on that, and I think there was not the right proportionality, and effectiveness was also in doubt, whether really we had to use the national border as the instrument. It was not the case. And the same, I see also the changing political reality, yes, but also with I have a German background, and I would say yes, the German government is really desperate. And they say, as a means of counter-terrorism, or we have to close the internal border to, or not close, but control passports at the German-Dutch border. And I think that is not proportional and it's not effective. And we can talk about Frontex, but we can also talk about Europol. Why not having a European FBI? And if the German government comes with a proposal saying we need cooperation, information exchange in Europe between the police forces in Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, and the others, then we can really say, yes, probably that's good to find out who is dangerous and who is giving information to other people. But passport controls, you can say, yes, it can help, for instance, with the symbolic political scenery at the moment, but it's not really effective.
Okay, now I'll leave it up to here now. Oh, okay, now very short then, Raquel. Okay,
Europol,
very short.
Same as Frontex. I'm very happy to be able to tell here that again from the European Parliament, from the Commission on Civil Liberties, we came with a proposal to strengthen not only the mandate of Europol, but also the means, because then again, the member states and the Commission wanted less money. We want more, because that's where the solution lays.
Carine van Kouter, I'm going to jump to you now because we are delighted to have you here as Governor of East Flanders, also border coordinator when it comes to the border of Flanders and the Netherlands. We are very much interested because we know that you have a kind of a best practice there, the so-called coordination point, the schakelpunt. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about how that arose and how it is functioning. But maybe first a reflection, because I think you wanted to respond on what you heard earlier here.
Yes, not as a political person, but as a civil servant. With us, Belgium and the Netherlands, we share a lot. We share our languages, we share our culture, we share the same external borders, North Sea. We share the Schelde and so on. As we citizens and enterprises in the border regions, for us, border is just a theory. Yes, so we live and work in the border region, and I think it fits exactly with the philosophy of Europe as to become an internal integrated market where people, goods
flow freely.
Flow freely. So, but in reality, we find that there are some difficulties with rules that people live every day. As said earlier, politicians, they want to work together. We also, as citizens, we want to work together. We want to fight the same war on drugs and international organized crime, but we see that rules do not allow us to share, for example, data. We cannot look in each other's databases as policemen and so on. So that's why we have to find together and to reach out for solution. And that's why in the border region between the Netherlands and Belgium, there was at first, we wanted to create, for example, one European seaport, North Seaport, yes. And there was the study of ITEM that pointed the difficulties who were to create that one European seaport. And that's the start of, at the summit of the Netherlands and the Belgian governments, to have a very deep study on how to deal with those
obstacles
in
yeah,
border
how to
regions.
assess them and
Yes,
to find out what
yes.
will happen.
And then as a result, we saw that we have to have a governance in the region, that we have to have single points of contact, and that's why that contact point is now in place, put it in place, so that if difficulties are or obstacles are coming up, then they can be
solved or addressed,
investigated, and so that they can be brought on the political agenda.
How come would you say that this works out so far so good? It is in practice. That here it works, and it's not at a lot of borders in Europe that it is effective. Does it have to do with you and with your colleagues at the other side of the border? Is it a personal thing?
Awareness.
Is it
It's awareness. I think it's not possible to have one-fit-all solution for all the borders into all Europe, because rules are different in between countries. So you have to have those single points of coordination points across border in the regions, in the border areas, and I think it's very important that Europe will support and staying in supporting those cross-border coordination points, so that problems can be reported, and that
in what way Europe has to support this? What does the support mean in practice?
Well, in practice, I think we have to have the financial support, so that people and universities can be allowed to look and make the research, so that solutions can be brought up, and that with the single point of contact, those difficulties with proposals of solutions can be put on the political agenda. So that politicians can make the right choices. It is possible in between the COVID periods. We had a problem with homework and yes, the financial and social security.
For those who stayed at home for work, yes.
Who had to stay at home for work. So they one day in another, there was another regime of social security and fiscality. So we looked for a solution, and we had an
You did find a solution with the support of ITEM.
We find a solution with the support of ITEM, same as with the support of the Benelux instrument.
Instruments. Now, thank you for this moment. We will get back to this later. But first, I see Dirk would like to reflect, Anouk as well. But I wanted to go to Pim first, if you do allow me, because we are talking about now an instrument in place between the Dutch and the Belgium. In that area. Now give us some background, Pim, of what are we talking about here? Those control points as an instrument to assess what's happening at borders, at cross borders.
It's indeed one instrument, but we have several in the past. So beginning with the financial support, we're talking about for cross-border cooperation, we have the European instrument Interreg program, which is one of the instruments currently to start cross-border projects as such. Another leg we saw was the organizational part. So organizational structures, cross-borders. We've now the EGTC, for example, at European level. That's another instrument for cross-border cooperation.
What does it stand for? Please help us all.
It's European Grouping of Territorial Cooperation.
Oh, whoa, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we have an organizational instrument, but we didn't have a legal instrument for cross-border cooperation. And there is now this idea, we had it before in 2018, of this European cross-border mechanism, the ECBM.
Yeah.
It's now revised to the facilitation tool. And we can say the cross-border coordination point we have now between Flanders and the Netherlands. It's a bit in that idea, it's the same thought, and it came from bottom-up instead of top-down of the European Union. But that's another instrument to overcome the legal obstacle part that comes with cross-border cooperation.
But it has sometimes some resistance in member states, hasn't it?
It has.
To say the least.
It has.
Because then what? No, because of course this roundtable is also organized to get an understanding of what could help us really out. What is an instrument which could be applied sustainable on the long run? Because now here we have a good example, but this also will run till 2027?
2027. Yes.
2027, early 2027, and hopefully it will continue, but no one knows. You mentioned Interreg. Cohesion policy was mentioned by one of the first speakers here, Karl-Heinz Lamberts. So what is here all at stake? Give us some words to that. Are we confident that it will last?
It's an interesting period, so to say.
Okay.
So you would say there are many chances. Yeah, we have to be successful and prove the success in these 3 years. Like it could really work and benefit Europe and benefit.
It has to prove itself.
It has to prove.
Of course, like everything. That is sounds.
Vice versa, it's also the narrative that the status quo is not enough. What we have for border regions. The toolbox, the European toolbox, we have EGTCs, but it cannot solve obstacles itself. That's not the legal mandate. We have Interreg that was really important for border regions, but now with the new cohesion fund and the cohesion policy, it's all open for debate. So we don't know what will happen post 2027.
2027 as well, because it's open now.
Yeah, exactly. So there are many chances, but then also many challenges, like with the current political climate. We don't know what will
Okay. Now I'm going to ask this question to you in a moment. To what is our answer to this? How could we act? How could we reflect on all this? But Martin and Dirk, then I'll come to you. Martin first.
To add on that, also our schakelpunt, the coordination point, is more or less a process, that there is a clear structure, that people who have a border problem can go to a schakelpunt, and that there is a process, the way to solve it. But how to solve it? And also the question, what is the legal instrument? That is still under discussion. It's up to the situation. And there, in our case, we have the Benelux. At least you have different instruments to deviate or to say, we can also accept the ambulance signal in Luxembourg if it's a Belgian ambulance. That is, for instance, better in the Benelux than in other border regions. But that was also the idea of the European Commission, to have such an instrument for all border regions, where it's about accepting also legislation from the other side of the border. And there we really have to lobby, because that was a very good idea of the European Commission.
But not accepted in the member states.
It was a lot of member states have a big problem with the idea that you can more or less transport
legislation at the other side.
Legislation across the border. But this is really very important for the border regions.
Dirk, please.
Well, it strikes me that if you simply look at the European budget and everything that we spend, how much of that, how many percent of that is cross-border? Actually, really cross-border?
Tell me.
I think it's a very small amount. It's tiny.
Interreg
and so everyone's speaking. Yes, this is the beating heart of the European Union. No, it's not. Not at all. Just like any budget, national budget, will have a redistribution of the Dutch national budget to the border regions is, well, less than what it is to the Randstad, so to the west. That was what the whole last elections was in part about. Doing right on the periphery. And a lot of the border regions are periphery, which is something that needs to be also corrected in the European budget and in the European approach, because, and I'm shocked about how little So now we have this Draghi report, but we already have the Corona fund, the big fund. And how much of that is cross-border? Sorry, if the situation is so catastrophic, as Mr. Draghi explains, then every single politician in a member state capital should be thinking about, okay, what is the strategic investment? Not simply where do I have a project that was already financed or in the budget, but now we can get European money for it, so let's reverse engineer the conditions. So that's a huge issue, is about refinding the value added of Europe. Where is the value added for Europe? And if border regions push that narrative, if you're looking for a narrative, then the old money will always get to a border. So if you have value added, simply say a European euro should be spent at least crossing one border. And if you do that, a lot of the budget will be moving more clearly towards also European value added. At the moment, we're simply renationalizing a lot of our investments. And that's where I think also border regions feel that they're not relevant, not as relevant as they should be.
Anouk.
I think, Dirk, that you're a very good spokesman for the border regions. So I agree on that, because it's not only about the border regions has to do it. It's about all the levels in the governance that we need. And on one hand, Schakelpunt was just mentioning, and the question was who's going to do this all. But the governor didn't mention the role she has as a border coordinator, and also the border coordinator on the other side in cooperation together, and also the commitment on national level that if you come up with some issues, that it could be put on the table, and it's not about a lobby, but it's a structural organism what is functioning. So that's very good example how it can work, but not all border regions are in that position to make them that clear enough. We try it from our side, from a science side, to put it on the table, because we think it's very important, but we need the spokesman also to address this topic also.
Karl-Heinz first.
I come to you. To add something from the experience of the European Association of Border Regions existing since 71. And in each decade we have this kind of problems, and some things are really clear, but nobody wants really to solve them. We know that we have many problems that we can only solve by transborder cooperation. We have hurdles, we must go on, and we must find solutions. And for solutions, we need the determination to find a solution, and not only a Sunday speak. Mm-hmm. We need money, also from European origin, but the European budget without RRF is just the price for 1 cup of coffee per day per inhabitant of the European Union, said Commissioner Oettinger. And it's still so. And if you are looking for the money affected to transborder issues, then you are in the homeopathic area. But you need money. And you need legal instruments. And EGTC is a very interesting one, and we will have the start of a new transborder and EGTC platform in Budapest in the middle of the month of November. And we have also this fantastic example of the ECBM. It was a little step, it was a little bit tricky to link it with cohesion policy and the budget in the last period. But the idea was to say it must be possible to implement for some special issues the legislation of one state on the territory of the other, for practical issues. And it was proposed by the Commission, it was pushed by the Parliament, it was pushed by the European Committee of the Regions.
And the result was?
There was a big no by the European Council, because this kind of solutions is for some people not compatible with the principle of sovereignty, national sovereignty. And then we have now a new, very complicated approach with this so-called
facilitation tool.
Facilitation tool. It is the most ridiculous text I never have seen in European documents. But I agree that we must try to pass him. But the only thing you can find there is arguments not to use him. But we need something like this, and it is not so easy to convince governments. Even our own government in Belgium is not very happy with this, and we must find solutions that bring us to concrete action, because people want to see solutions on problems. Yeah. If we don't find these solutions, you will have more and more populists, and the only thing that populists don't want to see is a solution, because otherwise they disappear.
Mm. But how come it's so hard to come up with sustainable solutions? Karl-Heinz, tell us. What is it? The human nature?
No, it is.
What is it?
It is a fundamental impact of national states in European policy today, and that is a little bit normal. But we must go on.
Beyond.
We must go beyond, and we must give a bigger impact to regions, because regions are able to see it a little bit more on a practical way. Because they see that there is a real added value to do something.
Now Dirk stated net, as the new spokesman, Anouk told us, for border regions, that every euro going into a nation state, another euro should go cross-border, something like that? Was that some? Just because I would like to check with Karl-Heinz.
No,
if that's
I mean, the statement that regions know better, I think not all regions know better, but it depends on what happens on the ground. So the first message, please don't wait for Europe. If you need to solve problems locally, solve problems locally. Please do if you can. And if you can, if you need to go to your capital, go to your capital, but don't go to Brussels first, because it will only make it more complicated. So you cannot explain me why German tax authorities and Dutch tax authorities cannot fix the issue of double taxation for people living and working in those two countries. There is no excuse for it, and you cannot blame Europe.
And Brussels has nothing to do with that.
Brussels has nothing to do with it. Stop it. Don't blame Europe and don't wait for Europe. Secondly, on the Euro side, it was about how can you mobilize for border regions more financing that helps these institutions solve these problems. And that is by looking for more added value. The only thing we do now is renationalize money that we sent to Brussels, and then we get it back, and we get it back in some regions. And there will be other discussions on that in the future in this House, I'm quite sure, about Dutch provinces trying to keep the cohesion funds. But where is the added value? Where is the strategic investments in our future?
Raquel. Yeah.
Going back to the periphery, which is a very good point from you, Dirk. I come from Friesland, and I have seen the dynamics. I come originally from Madrid, so I know the difference between a capital city and the real periphery of the European Union very, very well. I understand the political dynamics. That's one of the reasons why I decided to become a full member of REGI, because I do believe that we have a lot to do with European democracy, also from the perspective of the role of the regions. And when we're talking about cohesion funding, and I will come to the cross-border mechanism in a moment, there have been studies already been made by expert groups of the European Commission which show that there where economic development is falling behind in the European Union, I think that's evident in the light of the last few rounds of elections, that's where populism grows. That is where anti-European sentiment grows. So cohesion policy is not only good for our economy, which it is, it's good for our democracy. And I think that we cannot forget the connection between those two when we move to the next multi-annual financial framework and we start with the negotiations. On the cross-border cooperation mechanism, it's very well known to Renew, my group, because Sandro Gozzi is a rapporteur, was a rapporteur. The Commission has also estimated that if we applied that, also with the voluntary safety clauses introduced in the last revision, that we would be able to reduce the legislative and administrative barriers by 50%. And even if it was only 20%, it would mean 2% GDP growth in those regions. I want to know what the Council is waiting on to apply that mechanism. Because they cannot say that it doesn't help. They cannot say that it's mandatory. It isn't. It's voluntary, it has a lot of safety clauses, and not applying that is hurting millions of citizens in the European Union who live in these border regions. So, yet again, yes, it's complex, I agree. Maybe unnecessarily complex, that's also a product of the compromise, like very often. But at the end of the day, I want to see the member states just doing what is right for their citizens.
Martin, yeah.
We have heard some comments from member states, and I think it's strange that, for instance, the Nordic member states say we don't need it. I mean, that's really an interesting argument.
Nordic
they say
Council.
we have it all in the Nordic Council. We don't need this type of regulation from Europe, which is
Don't mingle in, they
yeah,
say.
it's a bit interesting because, okay, if you have it, great for you. You can just call it a coordination point, whatever. But what about the other border regions who do not have this type of instruments? So
But again, different speeds and different ways of collaboration within Europe, one could say. Yeah. Carina Verkouter, please take the microphone.
Yes, I think that the financial support, it is important. I agree, but it's not only financial support. The willingness of cooperation is as important as we look to North Seaport.
Good example.
Good example. The port of Ghent and Zeeland, the ports of Zeeland, they became one port with an extreme plus value. The port became from 30th to the 3rd port of Europe as to added value. It's amazing, but the willingness of working together, that was the most important that made that success story. And willing to work together is very important, but resolve obstacles has to be possible. And so awareness of national states that as to when they are making rules, regulations, to think about the
consequences.
The consequences in the area of borders is as so important. So there have to be a possibility to, for example, deviate in those areas. Thinking about, as to closing the borders into the COVID period, thinking about consequences and looking ahead for to deviate, the possible of deviation as to different situations.
Okay, so not only money, it's willingness.
Willingness and having on the political agenda the awareness of the cross-border situation and the situation in the border areas.
I come to you in a moment, Frans, but maybe first, Erwin. Just one question also to you, and then please give your spontaneous reflection. But I still have the words of Dirk in my mind, that apparently in this issue, we are not really able to describe the added value of what is delivered by cross-border regions. And if that is not the case, then yes, you can go for money everywhere and try to find some willingness and cooperation, but then it's not clear. The narrative is being able to formulate the added value of what can be achieved.
Yeah, I was really puzzling about the words Dick said. And I was looking, and I expect already the question you're asking me right now. I think that if you look too narrow this issue and only look to the really cross-border regions, for instance, where I'm from, the Almelo and Enschede to Gronau, Münster, then it's maybe quite difficult to find a real added value for what it brings on a national level, but it brings added value on a regional level. And I think that's what I No, it's not. Well, this is interesting because always the politician will say, "Well, we need a good train connection." I say we need not a good train connection. We need a good economical connection. We need a good education connection. We need a good social connection.
Yeah.
So what you see right now, and that's the difficult when you talk about added value. It's always going to one, how you call it, tangible issue. Is that okay? That's what we do right now, and that's the added value. I don't think that's true. I think that the real problems at the regions are, and there we need the national level, is a level playing field between the left side and the right side of the border, to accept each other's education level diplomas, to have a European social structure where people can work cross-border and not get tackled by the national laws. And also when you want to have entrepreneurs left and right, to have the same basic set of rules. I think that are the real issues where you should talk about. And you have to deal with that not only on the local level or regional level, also on the national level. And what I see right now is that at the national level, they are not willing to really go into that discussion.
Because maybe they do not.
That would be an added value, and then you don't need to worry about where the money is going. Then you need to worry about how you really create a cooperation cross-border, and you can use the cross-border regions to, let's say, to drive it forward, to go for, to make the things happening in actual projects and actual programs.
Compliment? Because during the elections campaign, I visited Twente. I met Twente board, and I was so really impressed by what we are doing on both sides of the border. When you look at cooperation between universities, when you look at cooperation between businesses, but also other things like cooperation between firefighters. Yeah. And that's because of, in my opinion, and again, a compliment, because of political will. And that's, I agree with you, when regional authorities want to get something done, they can find a way to do it, but we need to help them from national level and from European level.
Absolutely agree. I take that compliment because
take it home. Take it home. Yeah, take it with you.
I'm a member of the Twente board, so I'm a member of that board. So that's very good. No, but there was a little bit early in this discussion. There was why are regions different? You have to realize that the region of Twente is an Euregio, which is the oldest Euregio which there is. It worked decades together. It took decades to find each other. It took decades to talk the same language across the border. So it's very easy for me, as a politician in the Twente region, to talk with my colleagues on the other side, and with a common ground, and that's the region. So that's where you make the difference. But you have to work decades on it.
And yeah, for a moment, Martin, Anouk, maybe. We were now just mentioning on what level governments at two sides of the border can work together on different issues. Train was mentioned, but then you said, no, it's much more about that. It's about economics, about university people. And it's also about where you do work a lot with at ITEM, the Expertise Center, when it comes to subjects as energy, mobility, isn't it?
Yes, that's true, and what we do see is the different levels and competences which are needed to bring the issue forward. At this moment, when we look into the reflections that has been made in our team, we do see the differences in approaches and neglecting borders. Let's say on the Dutch side, if you could look at the Dutch agreement, it's all focused on the national way, but they don't look into the border regions as such. On the other hand, if you look, for instance, at the Dutch, at the German-speaking community, they are very much into the mobility, and they do look into all the possibilities of cross-border regions and to make them easy to go there and also to go out. In that way, you do see that it is very well, there's not that much of talking with each other, apparently, because on political level right now, everyone is looking at his own place, and I do give my compliments on that perspective to the Dutch-speaking government to look into that perspective as such. If you look at the European level on mobility, for instance, I do think it is very good that we see that the idea for the ticketing problem, that we want to resolve that with the regulation on European level, because that's something is one step forward, because it is an issue that comes up time after time after time. So this is one step, and maybe this also the connection also to member states and to the regional levels to connect on that, because you have to find each other on several levels as such. We can't say, okay, because one border region is very powerful and successful, that also means that the other ones also are that successful.
There's no one size fits all, like our governor here at the table stated earlier. I'm running out of time, and I'm going to Yves in a moment. Not yet for your reflection, but maybe I'll make a final round. But I come to Frans, but first Martin. Yes, please.
Yeah, because it's perhaps interesting. I did a study recently about Twents. That's the company in Twente, waste management. And the city of Münster would like to be also, or is already affiliated, and they bring waste to the other side of the border. And now you see, you have a wonderful Euregion, you have even people who would like to work together in the field of waste management. Now there is a legal problem. And the legal problem is that you have two regulations on the Dutch and the German side who do not match. It's about that there is an uncertainty now on the Dutch side whether it's always possible to bring the waste from a foreign country, and Münster is around 40, 50 kilometers away from the incinerator, to bring that across the border. And in the German case, you have to have certainty for 10 years, a contract that you can show for 10 years. So a classic, more or less, where you see, yes, and there you need a mechanism or a legal instrument to solve that if you have two national rules that do not really match. And even in such a good, you could say, good governance situation, you still face these type of problems. Even more, if you work more together, as you said, you have more problems.
Yeah. Good. Final round. Oh, we have tried. We have been talking almost an hour and a quarter about the future perspective of cross-border regions, because there is a new political reality that I think we agree upon. I think we have said that we must act. Erwin said it. He said, just act, do, try to find your partners at the other side of the border if that's a suitable place and time, and then just act and do. Dirk and also Raquel, they said, do not come to Brussels if not immediately necessary. Try to solve it. Well, it was more Dirk, huh? It was more Dirk. Yeah, I was challenging you, Raquel.
We have a different view.
You have I'm sure that you have.
I mean, subsidiarity is really important. Let's not fix in Brussels what we can fix at a regional or a national level. Yeah? But we see in Twente exactly that problem with waste management. I heard it also in a dinner during the campaign from the province Noord-Holland, with also entrepreneurs that are working on shoe recycling. Great business, amazing, innovative waste management. Yeah. Those are problems that we really need to solve at a European level.
At the European level, yeah. Instruments. Pim, finally, what can we expect? Where should we focus on? What?
I think what is most important, I also wrote down the word just border. And the word, we've doing this kind of analysis for a couple of years now. And if you look into the word border, it used to pop up when it really comes to cross-border and improving border regions, but it's now shifting away more about the border management discussion. Yeah. And that's a bit surprising, because last years there was more a stream going on making policies more place-based. And we do more better targeted impact assessments for border regions, maybe even having a cross-border impact assessment at the European level, and also not only for new legislation cross-border impact assessment, also for the Schengen Code. It is already in it, that there should be a specific assessment, what are the consequences for border regions? And still, in practice, we see it's not, it's a sort of dead letter in the law. So that's something, talking about instruments, I think we should improve the really impact assessments of border regions, but also do it. Not only write it down, but also act on it in practice.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Maybe Frans, would you like to have a small reflection before we go to Yves Lacroix?
Maybe a small reflection. I fully agree with ACT, and I think even now in the current political situation, people expect solutions. And to achieve solutions cross-border, well, you have to bear in mind that, let's say, the legislators and the ministries are more or less imprisoned in their own system, and for them it's very difficult to find solutions. But the word is already said a few times, you can deviate, and within the Benelux, we have at least the possibility to deviate, based on Benelux treaties. And if we cannot deviate based on existing treaties, well, then we can arrange new treaties, as we did with the police treaty, which came into force last year, and also the treaty of automatic recognition of university degrees. And that's, yes, that's on university level.
But that's a start.
But unfortunately, well, Germany is not a part of it. It was started as a Benelux initiative, and the new treaty is an open multilateral treaty together with the Baltic states, and now some other European countries are interested to join. But due to, well, how within countries areas like education is organized, it seems to be difficult to get Germany on board. And for, let's say, a long part of the Benelux border, Germany is very important. But anyway, what I would like to say is...
Treaties could be a solution as well, if necessary.
Instruments can be found. So that's not the issue.
So willingness.
So then it's willingness, and it's to align interest. And to look above just your own specific private interest of today, but look to the interest of the next generations and also the people in a bigger area. Great. And when the interests are aligned, when potential legal instruments are in place, or you can find it, well, then you need some money. And I fully agree with Dirk. Don't pump around a lot of money with a lot of bureaucratic procedures, but put it there where it's needed and where you can show tangible results. Yeah. And then I believe there will also be a bright future for everybody, and maybe also a more stable political climate.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Yves, we are going to listen to you, because you have been listening carefully. And from Brussels Nieuwe, you would like to give your final, well, how shall I
summary? Say it? Well, it's gonna be difficult, because I'm definitely not one of you. I do come from Limburg. I come from a village that's like, 5 minutes from the Belgian border, 10 minutes from the German border. So in that sense, we get along, I guess. But it was very technical for me. I heard the words schakelpunt, instrument, and then there's not only one, there's many.
And then what do you think?
But I've been able to see two things. I think there's two problems right now. And one of them, I'm not sure if you agree, but maybe I'm projecting my own experience as a Limburger. I think border regions know they're a bit of an underdog in politics. They're struggling. I've seen it in my life. My mom lost her job, looking for a new job. It's difficult, right? There's not many jobs to find. She has to speak German or French to find a job somewhere else. Same for me. And what I hear is that you found a lot of solutions already to all those border problems, finding jobs, or the language barrier, or criminality coming across the border. You find a lot of solutions, and then now all of a sudden Germany is closing its borders. It's like on top of that now this, we've been working so hard to make life better for the people in our region, and now they're going to ruin it all by instituting border checks again. We made a bus line, so all those people from this village would work there, and now they're going to check their passports. That's going to be horrible. That's the feeling I'm getting, at least a little from you guys. I'm not sure if you agree. I'm looking around. No, not really. I might be wrong then.
Yeah.
I'm projecting. Where was I?
Underdog.
The underdog, the bus lines.
Underdogs.
Yeah, and then okay. And from what I also understand is that worries you, right? That the borders might close, that there might be a domino effect, and the Netherlands might start doing the same again as what happened during Corona. And I also feel that you feel like you have a bunch of solutions already also for this problem. I think, I forgot your name, but you brought it up from Overijssel. We have these mobile police units. Why not do this, I heard you say. And I think, yeah, those are the I'm hearing myself now, I'm getting a weird... yeah, so I feel you're trying to, I don't know, you're projecting your own problems into the... what's happening on a broader scale, and you're hoping, or maybe I feel you should start talking about your own experiences on a bigger level, on this part at least. But then you were also talking about solutions, because the border problem is a migration thing, right? There were the terrorist attacks in Germany, and the German border closing was a response to that. And then we get to European solutions. This is the part where we're going to talk about Europe. You said Frontex, we need to make it stronger. So it's as long as we keep the external border closed or better protected, we don't have to have those internal borders like Germany is trying to do now. Frontex we have. Oh yeah, and the migration pact I thought was a very good point made by Dirk, because it's going to take years before that stuff is going to have a function, before it's going to show its results. And in the meantime, a lot of stuff might happen. That's definitely true. But then also, to go back to the first point, borders, I feel, at least in my experience in the EU, are a bit of a niche subject. We're dealing with Ukraine, we're dealing with, okay, migration still, that's the external border, but not the internal ones. We're dealing with a possible Trump victory again. And I don't see Ursula von der Leyen presenting a big deal anytime soon, saying, okay, guys, all those border regions, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that. Maybe unless you know, if you manage to find a few farmers and borrow their trekkers and come to Brussels, you might be able to do it. But I don't think, I don't see it happening very soon. Still, I think regions are doing a very good job, because since I came to Brussels, I've met the people at the ITEM-HNP, but I've seen more and more cities or other local regions send people to Brussels to influence decision making here, to show them how important the voices from those regions are, and I think everybody is doing a very good job in that. I think it should happen more, to be honest. There's still some regions that don't have anybody here in Brussels, and I think it's a lost, how do you say this? Lost opportunity. But then to close, what I do see here is a lot of hope still. I have no clue which solution is going to work for you, but I think the cooperation you're trying to have in between you and all the other provinces and all the institutions that you're working together with, that just needs to continue. And what Dirk said, show the value of what's happening in the border regions, the added value.
And we count on Brussels Nieuwe, that you keep on reporting and following us, and also mentioning the good and positive results.
Yes.
So that would be great.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to give you the final word, but first, Anouk, you had 3 wishes on your list. Please accept my apologies. I don't think we have had them all.
Well,
or is it still okay?
No,
It was so vivid. It went all directions.
It went all directions, but I have listened carefully to everything that was put on the table and came forward. And well, if you look into my question, what's on stake with regard to border regions and also the impact for member states, well, it comes back to that we have to be careful because we want an integrated market in Europe, and we have the freedoms. So at the moment that that we touch upon that in the wrong way, then that's on stake, and that's especially
has been discussed. Yeah.
That has been discussed. If you look into the influence, how can we influence the new European agenda in favor of the border regions? Well, my eyes are on my right side of the table, looking to the European Parliament members here today. Very happy with that, and I do see that what border regions can solve themselves, that they have to do that, and I'm pretty sure also about that. But what we need is that the door has to be open. Do we have an open door with you, and can we knock on your door? And for the positions which aren't taken care of, for the border regions who are not have the possibility to solve it, then we need you, because you are the influencers also to look into this European agenda and to put it on that. And then if we look into the instruments, to get insight in which instruments do we need and who's responsible to take action on that on the various levels, I do think that we also have heard some things about that. I do think that Schakelpunt has been a great example to show and to put forward also on a European level the way how it operates, how it works, and how other border regions also can make profit out of it. And it makes the connection within Europe as such, so to make border regions themselves stronger and take their position. Next to that, well, we are talking also about political will. I do think that's also an instrument as such, because we need the politicians also. The Benelux Union has been mentioned, and we do know that they are very much into helping and putting forward all instruments that they have on board to make it work better. But if we look to the European level again, I do think we need European budget within the cohesion policy, and it was mentioned that it's a bit just a small part that we have now. We wish that we would have more, but less is even worse. So we want this money also, this budget, for the border regions.
Least.
At least.
Well,
so I do think that a lot of questions
I think we
touch upon.
Thank you so very much. Arthur, it's about time, because we have our viewers. They are still with us.
I won't repeat, Anouk.
No. But give your personal reflection, please, on this roundtable.
I still think that these kind of roundtables, the dialogue we have, is still necessary. Politics, especially in Europe, need longer lines. And that's the problem. We have 27 member states, they have different political systems, and to be honest, the most politicians are very opportunistic. So before the elections, they promise everything, and after the elections, they know the answers. So I think what Europe needs now is a political agenda at the end for the European Committee, and I hope the European Parliament will help us a little bit. That's not about what, but about how, because we have already so many policies going on, so many transitions going on, that we now really get into the how. And that's also with cross-border solutions. And I hope that the new commissions, the commissioners that will take their places very soon, really are interested in what's happening in Europe itself. And then you will see that the speeds are different member states, and that we should accept that. And that we do not use cohesion funds to get everybody on the same speed, but to listen and to see what's happening in the countries. And we really need, and that's what I think Draghi is saying, on several issues we should be on the highest level, but we also have issues on a lower level. And accept it as a fact. And then you probably can have longer lines in Europe, and that's what you need. And not only in Europe, I also think for example, in the Netherlands, we also need longer lines. You cannot change every 4 years your policies, because people are, and that was Frans Wekers was saying, they need action. They want to see solutions. So
Solutions for their problems. Yeah.
and I want to thank all the people here, because I think to have a dialogue like this should be more often, and it should also give courage to our politicians that are in charge now and will be in charge in Europe for the coming years, that they have that they dare to take the steps that are needed. So.
And to
thank you very much.
express themselves, yes. Well, thank you so very much. I'm going to thank you all for having been here with us here at this round table. Thank you very much. I do thank you all, dear viewers. You were with us for an hour and a half. Thank you so very much for that. Hopefully, maybe next year you will be here with us in Brussels, if you're able to make it. And otherwise, you will follow us online again. Thank you very much. And I do thank very much also all the viewers here live. You haven't seen them maybe there at home, but there are quite some viewers here. And of course, we have the year conference hosted by the Governor of Flanders, Carina. That will be great. We are all looking forward to that. That will be in November. So maybe then we will meet in person. Because what's the date again in November?
The 22nd of November.
The 22nd of November, so maybe see you then. Thank you once more. Thank you very much, and thank you to the audience here, and give my distinguished guests here at my table a wonderful round of applause. Thank you all.